right, we are back in finally with a breakfast with Benefield, brought to you by First State Bank out of Fort Payne. Coach, welcome back into the saddle.
I'm about starved to death since the last breakfast.
I know,
it's been
man.
21 days.
21 days
my breakfast
with no breakfast.
Right.
Coach, I'm going to rewind the clock real fast. Speaking of 21, you had a team come in here that we didn't get to touch on. We're going to touch on briefly on 3 games right here and then your next week's opponent as well. Let's rewind the clock to Clark County. You want to talk about a big physical? I actually didn't get to attend that game, so I had to watch it on film. But that team was scary, good, and big and physical. And I guarantee you learned a lot about your troops. Talk about that team a little bit and that 21-0 win.
I've been really proud of the last 3 weeks. We played 3 straight undefeated teams, and as I tell my kids all the time, you're not undefeated for no reason. You may look at them and think this or that, or they may not be this or that, but they're undefeated. I can tell you that. So they're better than everybody they played. So Clark County, starting with them, I just feel like one of the best teams that we ever competed against any time since I've been coaching anywhere. They've got as much talent, and they'll be to deal with in 2A, I would think, in the South. So we're real proud to get that win and everybody healthy.
Yeah, yeah. I had to watch him film.
It's brutal.
I think it's play 105 when Levi goes for a ride.
It's brutal. It was brutal on both sides, guys.
Boy,
it's a hammer and a nail thing. Sometimes we were the hammer, and sometimes we were the nail.
Yeah, man.
That's where a good football game is.
It has to be one of the most physical teams you've played against, ain't it?
No doubt, it is.
Yeah, no doubt. I don't know if I'll see them losing again. It's gonna be tough. Let's see. You got out here with a 21-0 victory, and like you said, the most important thing is everybody got out of there healthy, moving forward. All right, then you had an undefeated Plainview team who had momentum on their side. They had you at home. It changed their offense up. Everything you practice defensively kind of goes by the wayside when you play a triple option team. That's always tricky to prepare for. Talk about the problems Plainview presented you and how you guys ultimately prevailed 42-14 in that one.
Well, it is, like you said, hard to simulate in practice. You can't get kids, kind of like, I guess, playing against our offense if you hadn't played any triple option. But they got good scheme, and it fits their kids, so much better than probably what they've been doing. And it just, I don't know if coming off that other game we thought we was good or what, but we may be pretty good, but pretty good teams get beat every week. Every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, some good team gets beat, and some really good teams get beat. So Plainview was ready to go, and that was obvious by the way it started. And fortunately, we could get some offense rolling and got them, stopped them that first time, and then scored real quick, and then stopped them again and scored. So and again, it's offense like ours too, in the fact that if you're behind 3 or 4 touchdowns, you may change your whole game plan, and they really didn't, though, and they kept on pounding it, and we got enough cushion, but we really lost some good kids in that game.
They, I know their game plan was to kill the clock, and they were chomping up minutes and there for a while, and I was like, I hadn't seen nothing like that in a while. I remember last year Cedar Bluff tried to run a play clock on you guys, and
we did that a little bit against Clark.
Hey, if it was good for the goose, it's good for the gander.
Right.
Yeah, you had a couple guys get dinged up in that one in the Plainview game, which leads me over into my next game, which was out here versus North Sand Mountain last Friday, which was I don't know if since I've been watching Fyffe that I've ever seen a more proud moment than to see some of them other guys step up like they did and perform. I was just like super happy for everybody.
It's like sometimes I remember telling Ty Bell 2 years ago, hey, I'm his biggest fan. I know his mama is probably, but I think I'm his second biggest fan. And I want to see kids succeed like that work hard and maybe are pretty good players, but playing behind really good players,
right.
And of course, the other night I was just real proud of Hunter Gillen for stepping in there and do like he did, and never took a snap until Monday. And he's got some ability if he'll stay focused on what he's supposed to do. And then we had an 8th grader, Tucker Wilkes, that stepped in there for Caleb Lyles. And then, of course, Ty was my sniffer back for Eli, and we had to move Kyle Dukes, who played well on both sides of the ball, and we played Austin Mulligan, who was one of his first starting games. He played pretty good. So, and then, it's time those guys start helping us. So, but they have to get a chance too. And I know sometimes you don't have a chance to play in a 0-0 game, and that's what makes you better. I don't know. I guess playing in the blowout games might help you a little bit, but the nothing to nothing games really do help you. So
games like that, Clark County, you really learn a lot about character and what your troops are made of internally, because you remember the old Rocky movies, it's blow for blow, buddy.
That's right.
And there ain't no hiding once you get between those white lines.
No, it's bad business right there in the middle of the field.
That's right. Back to that North Sand game, another thing that I was like, man, those guys that came in performed well. To me, you guys as a staff did an excellent job to get those guys into position to perform well. And the X factor of it all that I really loved, and you couldn't really see this unless you was down on the sidelines, was those guys on the sidelines cheering them on. That was fantastic to see.
Well, that's going to be the way it is, and that's the way Fyffe's going to work. And I forgot to mention Bladen Woodall come in and played some secondary for Ike. And we had and Will Stevens. That's right. Bladen Woodall and Will Stevens both, was aggressive and physical like I wanted them to be. And as a safety, Bladen can't be too aggressive because you don't want to throw it over your head. But he, when he saw where the ball was, he come and hit it, and so did Will. And proud of those two guys that did that. And what you're saying there, that's just unselfish kids that love one another and care about how the team instead of how I can do. They are a team oriented, and that's the way we all try to be. And that's why sometimes people don't like it. They don't like it here because we're not all about them. We're all about us.
They did a lot of coaching from the sidelines. It was really good to see.
Well, I mentioned that to them Sunday and Monday, that's where when you're hurt and you don't have a role on the field, you have a role on the sideline that you can help us win games. You might have a towel in your hand and a water bottle and some encouraging words for a guy that's playing for you and maybe what you saw out there that's going on. And that's having extra coaches. Ike and Eli and Caleb are all like the unselfish kids. I know they want to play. I know they want to, and they're dying inside to play, but right now they can't. I hope the good Lord heals them and blesses us the rest of the way, and we can get them back on the field.
That's it. And when you talk to people around the state in media and newspapers and everywhere, they get this perception that it's. And I bet I heard it 15 times this week when they knew if you guys were out. They were like, next man up at Fyffe, and I'm like, well, it's not that easy. People really think that you just got this button that you hit, and a guy walks through the door, and he's 6'3" and 215 and runs a 4.4, and I'm like, it's not really like that. I said, if you look at their roster numbers as opposed to some of the teams in 3A, I know several 3A teams that's got 60-man rosters.
Yeah,
yours is about half that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then they think it's not like that. That's why it was so encouraging to see this firsthand and see some of these guys that was really like patch here and plug here.
That goes back to that. It's maybe hard to play against us, but it's harder to play for us because we're not going to allow any unselfish stuff going on if I know what's going on and nip it in the bud. So we're for bud nipping if we can. We don't always are perfect kids, like some people probably talk around, but they are kids, that's for sure. And like adults and kids, they make mistakes.
It's like Leonidas in 300. He goes takes on the whole Persian army.
That's right. And you're right on the pushing the button. Now, I do have a button for the weather, the boys say. But, I keep it.
You keep it when you need it?
Up in my vault in there. But I don't have a button for that. I just thought, a lot of people talk about we got young kids, this, that. I am going to say something about Tucker Wilkes being in the 8th grade and right now, but I'm not going to make an excuse for him for being in the 8th grade because we expect him to play just like everybody else. Now, that's too high expectations, I'm sure some people would say, but we're going to coach him like he's a senior, and and we want him to play like he's a senior, and that just makes him better and better and better when that day does come. I feel like.
From my understanding, that young man grew up on a farm and is out there with cattle and different type of things, so he probably ain't scared of too much. Probably strong as an ox.
Throwing a rope around one or something all the time. And,
if you can do that, you can get somebody in front of you.
They work on the farm, and he's a pretty tough guy to step out there with all the people that, and having to practice against our guys. And I was proud also. I'm going to throw a word in from my B team, and even all of mine. I saw more other night than I ever saw, as far as getting after folks and maybe wanting to get to a tackle. You can see when you turn on film real quick if somebody's trying to get to make a tackle, and that's what we want, is everybody trying to do that.
And Coach, next up, you're looking at Geraldine, correct?
Old buddy, Coach Waldrop.
That's always a fun, tough game. He'll run that 5-4 against you.
Yeah. I believe he plays 12 sometimes. More like an 8-4.
You got that 8-4 front against you. But that's always a fun game because he's a good coach at reading what you guys do, and
Yes.
you have to cook up something special. But talk about the challenges they present for you and how huge this game is.
Well, I heard them on the radio the other night talking about how Geraldine playing for this and that. Geraldine can win the region. If they beat us Friday night, they can win the region. I know that. Coach Waldrop knows that. And if Sylvania beats Plainview and Geraldine beats Fyffe, that puts us and them tied, and they got the tiebreaker, so they'd be the region champions.
Ain't that wild?
If we win, of course, we're the region champions. But if Plainview beats Sylvania and Geraldine beat us, there'd be a 3-way tie and make us still region champions because of tiebreakers. Because of beating Clark County and Isabella, because they've got 7, 8, 9 wins.
Yeah.
And you count those wins of the non-region opponents.
Yeah.
I know I need to explain this you need to explain this to a lot of the radio guys that still don't understand the defeated non-region opponents. And they got to be one class above you or below you, or it can be more above you, but like a 3A can't count a 1A, and then there'll be people out here saying, well, I thought you couldn't count if it was class below you. You can now. You used to couldn't, but, it's not the NFL, or it's not 5 years ago. It's today. So I don't know much. I don't know anything, but I do know how the playoffs are set up, and I know how all of it works. But, it's hard sometimes it's so close you don't know to the last game.
That's right.
It could be a team you defeated the first week of the season who has a chance to win 7 or 8 games, and maybe his 8th win puts you in the playoffs. You see what I mean?
You never know that.
You'll never know till the last week. But we've got such a lead on that we know if we wind up tied, a 3-way tie. If we wind up tied with Geraldine, we don't have that because they go head to head.
From my understanding,
if they beat us,
Isabella or Clark hasn't lost another game.
No, they haven't.
Yeah. I mean, they even beat Maples. I remember Isabella.
And North Sand. We can count North Sand.
Yeah, North Sand don't have another one.
So it's just it's all all in our hands, and as far as
Coach, you got a button that handles all that though.
Yeah, I'm supposed to have a button. I need to bring in some more 310-pound tackles over and take care of the place.
Yeah. He's got the machine over here. It's just out of view. We may do a tour of it one day after he retires.
Yeah. Well, like I said, a vault over here is where I got all the secrets.
Well, Coach, it's college football Saturday. I'm not going to hold you up. It's raining outside, so I'm sure you want to go enjoy some college football. But God willing, the creek bank don't rise. We should be here next Saturday morning to talk about Geraldine game.
Sounds good. Hope it's a good day.
All right, Coach. Thank you so much. We're out.